It's the ideal time to look at the best and worst possible matchups on the grand stage.
Super Bowl matchup.
Rematch.
The Patriots, the Seahawks, we've seen it before.
With Super Bowl 60 at Levi Stadium quickly approaching, here's a quick dive into 5 dream Super Bowl matchups that we'd love to see, and 5 that we really don't want. Want to see Buffalo Bills versus Los Angeles Rams? This is arguably the juiciest of all possible remaining Super Bowl 60 matchups. Records aside, there is a solid case to be made that the Bills and Rams are the most dangerous teams in their respective conferences. Buffalo is 4th in scoring offense and 12th in scoring defense. The Rams were 1st and 10th in those categories respectively. Josh Allen is by far the best all-around quarterback in the NFL right now. However, Matthew Stafford will likely win MVP honors after leading the NFL with 4,707 passing yards and 46 touchdowns. And by the way, when these teams met at SoFi Stadium last season, 86 combined points. So yeah, please give us a rematch. Don't want? Chicago Bears versus Houston Texans. There are some old-timer fans out there who still love old-fashioned defensive slugfests. I mean, every so often, it's entertaining to watch a game where both teams struggle to put up more than 10 points, sure. But, I mean, come on, the Super Bowl? Please, no. Ben Johnson fully unlocked Caleb Williams' potential, and the Bears rode a top 10 offense to a surprise NFC North Division crown. On the flip side, Houston has the NFL's best defense, but CJ Stroud can barely move the ball downfield behind that atrocious offensive line. So when the Bears have the ball, you have a good offense versus a lockdown defense. But this year, Chicago's offense has mostly waited until like the second half to get going. The 2025 Texans offense leaves a lot to be desired too. In other words, you'd have a game that would probably come down to first team to 17-point wins. And also, no offense, but neither the Bears nor the Texans really have the same national appeal as the other remaining playoff teams. So, please join us in crossing fingers and hoping that we don't get this matchup at Levi Stadium. Want to see New England Patriots versus Seattle Seahawks? I mean, come on. 11 years after the epic showdown in Super Bowl 49, a rematch, albeit as 2 very different teams, would still be Oscar-worthy. New England has an MVP candidate at quarterback. Sam Darnold has been worth every single penny for Seattle. Both teams have 2-headed monsters at running back and a 1,000-yard receiver. Both these teams finished top 4 in scoring offense and scoring defense. They are evenly matched across the board. But May against the league's best defense is the real chess match to watch here. Would the Pats bring in lucky Lombardi Trophy number 7, or does Seattle get long-awaited revenge more than a decade later? Well, we'd sure look forward to finding out. Don't want Denver Broncos versus San Francisco 49ers. If the 49ers are healthy and at full strength, then this would be under our want-to-see category. Make no mistake, it's admirable and incredible how resilient Kyle Shanahan's group has been all year. But at the same time, a group without Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk isn't exactly must-watch TV. 49ers are pesky and mentally tough, but not the same star-studded group that you saw in 2019, 2022, or 2023. There are several appealing potential Super Bowl matchups involving the Broncos, but a matchup with the 49ers is not one of them. Like the Chicago Bears, the Bo Nix-led Denver offense has relied on unsustainable fourth-quarter luck and comebacks to win. Throw in the banged-up 49ers offense against Denver's lights-out defense, and, well, you've got another defensive slugfest that would probably resemble Super Bowl 50. A 49ers-Broncos matchup might just result in a lot of people across the country offering to work on Sundays instead of watching another punt fest. Want to see Los Angeles Rams versus New England Patriots? We know the aforementioned Super Bowl 53 showdown between the Rams and Patriots really didn't meet expectations, but hey, aside from Rams head coach Sean McVay, the key faces on both sides have changed drastically. With all due respect to Mike Vrabel, we aren't quite talking about someone on the defensive mastermind level of Bill Belichick. I mean, this would not be a Super Bowl where the Pats D holds LA's high-powered offense to 3 points. But on the flip side, the Rams D wouldn't hold this high-powered offense to 13 points either. Even though the Rams and Patriots each boast a top 10 defense, something tells us that you get an old-fashioned shootout here. Keep in mind that the Rams and Patriots defensive units both struggled against elite offenses this season. This could be a first team to 30 wins type game. And for storyline purposes, would 3 times be a charm for the Rams after losing their first 2 Super Bowl meetings to the Pats? Well, add it all up, and you wouldn't find many potential Super Bowl 60 clashes that are better than this one. Don't want Houston Texans versus San Francisco 49ers. When these two clubs met in Houston back in Week 8, a whole lot of nothing significant really happened. Yeah, the 49ers had to play Mac Jones over an injured Brock Purdy, but Jones was just as efficient as Purdy. Even with the latter under center in a rematch, we just don't see much appeal here. When the two clubs faced off in H-Town, they combined for a meh 698 yards of offense, 41 points in a 26-15 Houston win, with each QB throwing one interception. The 49ers offense isn't the same machine without Kittle and Ayuk. This just feels like another defensive slugfest with a lot of sacks, takeaways, and punts. Want to see Buffalo Bills versus Chicago Bears? If the Bears are to continue the Cinderella-like run and represent the NFC in Super Bowl 60, well, as far as matchups are concerned, the Bills are easily the most intriguing opponent for Chicago in a big game showdown. The Bills are trying to end years of heartbreak, having already lost 2 AFC Championship games in the past 5 years. Meanwhile, the Bears, who are enjoying a return to relevance, are trying to end a 40-year Super Bowl drought. Caleb Williams and Josh Allen are two of the NFL's best at improvising and extending plays. Watching the two dual-threat signal callers exchange blow for blow on the grand stage would be a grand treat for all football fans. Don't want Chicago Bears versus New England Patriots. The Bears and the Patriots in the Super Bowl? No thank you. Yeah, it'd be fitting if they met in the Super Bowl 40 years after the legendary 85 Bears crushed those Patriots, but we don't want it. At least not this year. Caleb Williams has not been able to play a full 4 quarters too often this season. So, I mean, waiting until the second half to get going? That wouldn't work on Mike Vrabel's Patriots. We could easily see a scenario where May dices up a below-average Chicago defense and gives New England a 3-score lead heading into halftime. Looking at the matchup factor, this could be one lopsided Super Bowl in favor of New England. And, well, such Super Bowls are very boring. And come on, let's think about how much championship success both teams have realistically had. Since 2010 alone, the Blackhawks have won 3 Stanley Cups. The Cubs won a World Series. The Patriots have 3 Super Bowls, 2 NBA championships, 2 World Series, and a Stanley Cup to celebrate. Like, come on. Let another city win. Want to see Denver Broncos versus Seattle Seahawks? We know. We've seen a lot of Super Bowl showdowns involving both #1 seeds over the past decade and a half. But a Broncos-Seahawks rematch from Super Bowl 48, or what we like to call the Russell Wilson Bowl, would check a lot of boxes regarding entertainment value. Statistics aside, you could argue that both the Broncos and Seahawks have the 2 best defensive units in football. Seattle had the best scoring D, but Denver was #1 in sacks and 2nd in yards. Both were top 3 against the run, but it's not like both defenses would have it easy. Bo Nix has elevated his game in crunch time situations, and you don't think an offensive guru like Sean Payton would scheme up some plays against a Seattle D that had some issues against above-average offensive units? Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, and Evan Ingram trying to break open versus Devin Witherspoon, Reek Woolen, and Julian Love? Oh yeah, popcorn please! Darnold's pocket awareness has improved since joining Seattle, but how would him and Seattle's elite offensive line hold up against the league's best pass rush? The league's best receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba against the league's top corner and Patrick Surtain II? Look, throw all these key matchups in, and you'd have a real nail-biter of a Super Bowl. Plus, the storyline of Denver seeking revenge from its humiliating Super Bowl 48 blowout would add a lot of hype and excitement. An Oscar-caliber picture this would be, indeed. Don't want Buffalo Bills versus Seattle Seahawks. Century might be a surprise to many, but feel free to join us in hoping that it is not the real Super Bowl 60 showdown. Look, as great as Josh Allen has been this year, his wide receivers would stand next to no chance of getting any real separation against the Seattle Seahawks star-studded secondary. Just saying. Seattle, by the way, had the league's 3rd best rushing defense in the regular season. Buffalo had the NFL's #1 pass defense. If they contain Jackson Smith-Njigba, then who's Sam Darnold getting the ball out to? This potential matchup just points at a lot of miscues on both sides. Darnold and Allen would both be under duress all game long, with very limited room to scramble and make plays. And I mean, come on. Who wants a Super Bowl to simply come down to which team screws up the least? There are multiple enticing Super Bowl possibilities involving the Bills and Seahawks. These two teams facing each other is not what we want, though. No, sir. But hey, which other Super Bowl 60 matchups do you want to see? And which ones do you hope never come to fruition? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.